first of all. Right. It's the aftermath is back with me and Michael Bowers. Michael, it's been a while, pal. I hope you're well. Obviously, on our condolences to your family, and you were unsure about if you were going to do this, but
I just decided to just hell with it in the end, because why not? So for those anyone who is watching, I haven't done any videos on my channel yet, but I think after the international break I'll be back doing them. I just haven't been in the right.
It's good to see you, and it's good to see you, pal. But anyway, on to the dire display.
Oh, do I have to talk about this?
0-0, there wasn't really much to talk about, Michael. Would you sum the game up in one word? Could you sum it up in about 30 seconds?
All right, then.
I bet you could.
Right, we kept it right. So someone can tell me the one. We kept a clean sheet, which is more important.
Go.
Right, okay. We kept a clean sheet, which is much more important than people realise. But at the end of the day, it's still not a great result. To be honest, there's only one player who I was actually pretty impressed with today. I thought that was Adil Ashish.
Ashish was mine.
I thought he was man of the match comfortably for Sunderland.
Yeah, he got his head about, didn't he?
Everything that we did came through him. He was up everywhere, from left side to right side to centre of the park. He was having to come back deep for the ball. Everything that we were anytime we remotely looked closest to scoring came through Adil Ashish.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, no shots on target at home to QPR, who are down the bottom.
Not acceptable. Not acceptable.
That, like Dave said to you in a previous interview before, the only remote way I can look at this in positive way is that it stops the rot. It stops it being 7 defeats on the spin.
Yeah.
It's still not great.
That's still a negative even thing to see that, isn't it?
No, ultimately for the ambition that was supposed to be at the start of the season, it isn't acceptable. But yeah, it just stops the rot. And also results went in our way is because Sheffield got battered, Stoke got beat comfortably, Plymouth lost, Huddersfield, who was away at Rotherham, didn't win. So
that's Mike. So all the other teams down got beat. Surely we'll pick a couple of wins, but Michael, or maybe a win in a draw.
Well, how many points do you think we need to make sure we?
I think 50. How many won now?
We're on 48.
I think 52 will be all right. We'll definitely be out in 52. What was the last? Because you know this, the highest points of some of you being relegated. But what's that?
See that for once I don't know. But
well, Michael,
actually,
I am shocked.
I think if memory serves, it was something like the lower 50-point region. It might have been like 50, 52 points. I
think 52 will be out this season. I think it will be all right.
But I think, it's this season is a higher tally than what it usually is required to be, because until recently, every bastard down the bottom kept winning, apart from Rotherham, which was annoying. But look, at the end, I've said before that I know there was genuine concerns about potentially getting relegated, and I can understand it because of the run we've been on. But I never once thought we were really in any serious danger of going down, because of the fact, we're never once in any real. I didn't think we're ever once really going to go down, but only because of the fact you're asking a lot of teams to be better than you across when games are running out. So what we're on now is 8 games left of the season.
8 games to go. We won 38 to 46 to finish.
So pretty much the gap to the bottom 3 is as you were with 1 game less to play.
Yeah. And I think what we've got left at home, Michael, we've got.
Who have we got left at
home?
Blackburn, Bristol City, Millwall, and Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh, God, I think Sheffield Wednesday. Oh, God,
by then, Sheffield Wednesday's fate, one way or another, will be decided. I think.
I'm not sure there's points there, but away we've got Cardiff. Who else, Michael?
You're not going to like this. Cardiff, Leeds, West Brom, and then Watford.
Michael, there's no points there either. Oh, yeah.
Right, to be honest, I think we'll lose. Away from home we've got, Cardiff, Leeds, West Brom, Watford. I think we'll lose at Leeds, Cardiff and West Brom.
Absolutely.
I think we might get a point at Watford just because they're a basket case themselves at the moment.
So a point there, we'll win Sheffield Wednesday, that's 4 here, and then we might take another. I think we'll get 5 points.
I predicted,
that'll be enough.
I predicted
53 points.
I actually predicted. Don't ask me why, but I predicted we'd win today just because I thought we'd eventually have to stop the rot at some point. I said we'd win today, lose to Cardiff, draw with Blackburn and Bristol City, lose to Leeds and West Brom, then beat Millwall, draw with Watford, beat Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah.
Got to remember by then Clark will be back and Roberts will be back, unless no one all get injured again and are out for the rest of the season. But
yeah.
I do still think even with how depleted we are at the minute, there should be enough to make sure that we don't go down. But let's not kid ourselves. That's not acceptable, because the outcome at the start of the season
was the top 2 by Ian back where these.
By Speakman's own. I mean, Speakman didn't say it, but he heavily implied it, didn't he?
That was the automatic.
That's as good as saying it.
But he said that
his exact words were, "We want to be challenging at the top of the league. No one's going to be happy with the playoffs." What does that imply? Top 2.
Has he not said that on the basis that Kildima was just going to, get a bit more funds on the table and this, that, and the other?
Right.
And has he thrown him under the bus, and everybody's blaming Speakman and this, that, and the other?
And he's still accountable for a few things, mind. Well, that's all right. I'll get the Speakman thing out of the way, because everyone knows my point with Speakman. And by the way, for anyone wondering, it still stands. My opinion on Speakman still stands, because ultimately, this season the recruitment can and should be questioned, because there are.
It's been poor. I think it's been pretty poor, like Michael. It's been below average, like Michael.
But at the same time,
I've got to see that.
Nobody can kid themselves into thinking Speakman's had a huge amount of money to work with.
I don't think he has.
No. And if you look at it, I'll ask you this, because I've asked this a few times, and I might do a video on my own channel talking about this during the international break. But When was obviously. How many times before we sold Stewart, Gooch and Lahadji? Let's take the guy who speaks to you quite a lot. Like say he said we got 4 million for Lahadji, so let's take that as gospel for a second.
Yep.
Before you sold Lahadji, Gooch and Stewart.
Yep.
How many times did Sunderland pay £1 million or over for one individual player? Before we sold them players. So I'm talking up till last January window. How many times did we spend big? There is a reason I'm asking this.
Is it to say that, because Donald didn't spend any money on that, is that what you're sort of referring?
Well, no, what I mean is that Ballard and Bennett, I think, are the only two occasions where I can think of where we spent on or over £1 million. The point is, when we didn't have assets to sell to get the money coming in, we spent as minimal as possible. And to be fair, the recruitment in general, I don't care what anyone says, was good more times than it wasn't. Now this season, you can argue how well we've spent it, but people can't argue that we haven't spent money because we have.
Yeah.
Sealt was 1.7, Triantis was 300,000, I think. That's 2 million gone. So let's assume what that guy said about the Hadji's rights. That's 4 million, he said, wasn't it? Yeah. So Stewart was a minimum of 6.8.
8 million it was, guaranteed.
8 million, but Ross County sell-on clause.
So
it's 6.8 million there. So you're saying, so 4 million, 6.8 is 10.8.
Yep.
We got $1 million for Gooch, I think it was.
Yeah, 1 million for Gooch.
11.8. So people ask, where has that gone?
Yeah.
Sealt and Triantis was 2 million combined straight away. So that's a sixth of your transfer fee gone straight away.
Yeah.
Russian was 2.5.
2.5.
Globe was 1.5 at least. That's up to 6.
That's 6 salary.
Then you had, I've forgotten everyone else was.
Mundo, yeah, 2.
Was 2. So that was 2. So that was what, 8?
Yeah.
Yelda, we'll say at minimum.
Yelda was 2, I think. Or was it 1 point?
I think it was 1.5 at least.
So that's nearly 10. That's 10.
9.5. Then Pembele and Meander were both €1 million, which is 850 grand each. So that's 1.7. So that's 11.2, and apparently we paid 500k for him here. That's your money gone.
There you go.
So people can argue we haven't spent. You can argue how well we spent it. That's a fair question.
Depends how much money we've got. Obviously, when the financial reports come out, and this is for last season, but when Chris Witherspoon will release them, you're able to see what the what we are bringing in.
In a month's time or so, shouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
This is my thing on Speakman, and I've stood by this. I mean, look, me and you, we've said that, in my opinion, I still believe over the years, Speakman and Harvey have made KLD look better than he has been.
Yeah.
They have bailed him out loads of times.
Michael, is that the fact that when we're in League One, our recruitment was really poor? In fact, is that not comparing it to the regime before them? Like the time we signed Cal McFadden and you sign him. Yeah.
But people can't erase the fact that those were the signings that we made.
Yeah.
If you compare the two, it shouldn't even.
No, I'm saying is that what you think people's doing though? As I think on the whole, I think Speakman's recruitment has been pretty good. I mean, he's getting a couple of things wrong. He's getting a couple of things wrong, which he's only human. That's going to happen. But more times than anything else.
He's done better than a lot of regimes have in the past.
I just think this.
I know it's not a low standard to beat. I know it's not a high standard to beat, by the way, but he has done it. But this is where I will say this. My patience with Speakman, and this is where this summer for me is crucial for him and for KLD.
That's if they're here.
Exactly.
We'll come to that next.
We'll
come to that next.
But what I will say is, for Speakman, right? Let's not beat around the bush. Clock's off. So
absolutely.
Clock's off in the summer, right?
Absolutely.
So that then, so Fabrizio Romano said in January, €30 million was the fee that we were looking at.
Yeah.
That's just over £25 million.
Yeah.
Now Tottenham have got a 25% sell-on clause, and I've said this loads of times on Twitter to the point where people are probably bored death of it.
Yeah.
However, that's just over £6 million.
Yeah.
So let's say you get £19 million for Clark, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we do not spend with money that's coming into the club that we've earned through player sales, and that's Speakman's decision, then he can get lost because that is not acceptable.
Let's stop you there, Michael. I heard just a couple of things I want to mention. I heard just sort of somebody in the fans museum who said he reckons that KLD is going to sell in the summer, but if he sells, if he sells Clark, pretty much before he goes, he'll get that money plus the money where he sells for the club. So if you get, say, I don't know, just say I would say 70, 80 million or whatever, between that and 100 for the club, and he gets the Clark fee, he can take that as well. You know what I mean?
And that would disgust me if that.
That's what I'm saying. So that's a possibility that could happen. I also want to mention that I got told by my friend's dad, I was talking to Kevin Phillips. Yeah, Kevin Phillips. And he said, "Oh, would you ever manage Sunderland?" He went, "With these lot." This is Kevin Phillips' words.
No.
He said, "With these lot here, absolutely no chance. If they had asked me to come here, nowhere." So what does that tell you? If you're a legend like Kevin Phillips is saying, he wouldn't want to come here and work with these lot. Get that on the camera. Yeah. There you go. That's he must know something like it. So it must be that bad that even he wouldn't come here.
Put it this way. Come. Well, is it me that I'm not bothered because I don't want Kevin Phillips as manager anyway?
No, but I'm saying
you're right. No, it's definitely worthy of concern. I'll mention the What the Fault podcast again because I mention them quite a lot, but even they've started to raise valid concerns about what's going on going forward. And ultimately, like I said, this summer's massive for even as someone who's a big Speakman fan. He's got to be very careful this summer, because some of the comments he came out, because let's not give ourselves. He screwed up with. I still think getting rid of Mowbray was right.
I don't 100%, 1,000,000%.
I think it's unfair to be revisionist about that.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Some people will stand by the opinion that wasn't right, and that's their opinion. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
In my opinion, however, which I expect to be respected, is that I thought that was right if you upgraded him. Now, was Beale an upgrade? Not a chance. If any, exactly. The fact you scoff and says it, doesn't it? Beale was an absolute downgrade.
It was a car crash before we even got announced, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was never going to work.
And ultimately, Speakman is part of the team that did that, and deserves a lot of stick for that.
Exactly.
Because that is not good enough.
Yes, exactly. Why did he appoint?
And don't get me wrong, you can't. I'm trying to think of the right way to phrase this. You can't consult the fans with every decision you make, because it's just not going to work. But surely he can't have been stupid enough. Well, maybe he could, I don't know, it's Sunderland. But you can't have, if he saw the almost universal reaction to that, going, nope, don't do it, doesn't work, blah, 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 and he still made the appointment, that's on him.
That's what I'm saying.
And
I think that's why the fans have turned a lot on Speakman, because of that decision.
And if it's
solely through him.
If it's because of that and not because of the recruitment entirely, then I think that's fair. I think it's fair to criticise him because of that. Because
I don't think it's the recruitment, because the recruitment, apart from the last 2 windows, has been pretty good, really.
Yeah,
and we've got Clark for next to nothing, really, with add-ons.
$800,000.
That's what I'm saying. We've got, it's.
And bearing in mind as well, I mean, I know that a lot of these players aren't here anymore, but we got Danny Bart, Corey Evans, Jack Clark on loan, Patrick Roberts, Alex Pritchard in League One.
That's what I mean.
But also at the same time, and I said this to you after we did the aftermath of the Stoke game, that I felt he handled the Alex Pritchard contract situation pretty poorly, in my opinion. Because basically what I heard is he only offered him
the same amount of wages for another year or 2 years. Insulting, isn't it? He's been
I still believe Pritchard shouldn't have refused to play.
That was disrespectful by him. But then they pissed him about.
I
think
the club are more at fault than Pritchard was for that. So don't get me wrong, this summer's huge for them, and I don't blame people with the head coach thing to not trust Speakman with that, because he screwed up the last appointment heavily.
Obviously, if KLD leaves Michael Owen this summer, see if he does, there's little whispers that he could be selling. If he does sell, I would imagine Speakman and everybody will be gone, so there'll be a total new regime. Will you be in favour of that or not?
Depends how competent. It depends how competent. See, for me, I still like the model. I don't think the model itself is a bad thing. It just needs tweaking.
It needs tweaking, at
and
least
this is
a
where
little bit.
The flexibility of it is fair to call into question for it, because even I'm someone who has been sick and tired of people saying we need experience, because for me that excuses young players when they don't play very well.
No.
But in the likes of the midfield position, like Corey Evans, for example, you need some experience in there.
Who was that, Paul?
So anyway,
was that Troy Hume?
At the end of the day, right, that's another. By the way, Troy Hume, that's another example of the good recruitment we've done. By the way, but the point is, this summer it's on a knife edge with the regime for a lot of supporters, because if you think back to how it was this time last year, where I know you weren't Mowbray's biggest fan, but if you look at the football we were playing last year with the players, that we had, but there was a lot of goodwill there, and through the arrogance of them appointing Beale and ignoring the voices of going, no, it will not work, because I bet you there would have been people inside the club saying Beale wouldn't have worked. Then that's arrogant from Speakman and from KLD to ignore that. And by the way, KLD needs to get his finger out of his arse here, because I've said all along that I think, and I stand by it, I think Speakman and Harvey have bailed KLD out numerous times, and it's a big summer for Speakman, but it's an even bigger. It's an even bigger. Oh, sorry. It's an even bigger.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. It's an even bigger one for KLD, because if he's at the point where he's not going to start putting some genuine money of his own cash into the club, then he needs to sell to someone who does. Because they've done well up to this point, but if we're wanting to progress back to where we belong, which is the Premier League, and it's not arrogant, by the way, let's get that straight away. It isn't arrogant. Sunderland as a club don't deserve to be there, but we should be there. We should be in the Premier League. If we're ran properly, we should be a competent top-flight Premier League club. But up to that point, you have to spend money. And this is where, for me, I'm fine with spending what's accumulated. But once you start getting the bigger fees, I'll tell you what, if you don't, like I said before, you take out that £19 million figure that I said after Tottenham get the selling clause, if you don't spend at least 10 to 12 to 15 million of that, by the way, on the first team players who are ready for now,
to come in and improve,
then, I'm sorry,
you've got nowhere to hide, have you?
Then everyone who has criticised Speakman, I'll be right there with you, because that is indefensible. That is not good enough. He should have seen by now what is needed. For me, the players that you should be targeting, if you're making big money on player sales, are the likes of Jay Stansfield, Tom Cannon on permanent deals. Maybe one on permanent, one on loan, but you need to be going for players of that calibre.
Kiefer Moore, maybe he's a little bit, not the wages, because the wages are a little bit. But it was on 30 grand. That's never going to happen, is it?
But at the same time, then Have they?
But why is teams
they should then have the money to be able to go and get it.
That's what I'm saying. Why? See, this is what annoys me is the wage structure, man. How are you going to attract big
that's
players,
the problem,
man?
isn't it? Because
do you know what I mean?
if you're claiming you want to progress, right? Let's take them for the minute because they've harped on about the 5-year plan they've apparently got. That 5-year plan started from the first full season that they were here, which is the year we got promoted. Yeah. So that's year one.
That's 4 years next year, isn't it?
This next year is the 4th year of their 5-year plan. Yeah. Now, if you're at that point, this is the 3rd of that year, if that is still applicable. Now, if you're at the point where you still seriously are you serious about going up? Yeah. Sorry, the wage structure's got to increase.
No, it does.
You can't. Look, financial fair play. Those accounts when we said we were the 4th lowest wage spenders in the league, which would have been probably the year we were in League One, right? Which I still to this day don't know how fans are annoyed at that because that should be a good thing, if anything, that we've not in the bottom 4 with 4th lowest wage budget. Next year, the accounts for last season will probably be bigger. Yeah. But I'm sorry, if you're not going to be willing to increase the wage structure,
it's 16 grand, and I think
that's not good enough.
There's other teams around us. You go on the other teams. You're going, oh where? Other teams around.
I know people are going about Ipswich, but let's be honest. Ipswich is a rare anomaly case. Yeah. A lot of teams will be under. This is the thing for me, and I stand by it. I think if Sunderland, and this is a big if Sunderland get their act together for next season, I think next year should be our shot.
Well,
look at it, right?
The team's coming down.
Right.
Yeah.
Leicester. Right. I still don't think Ipswich get top 2. Let's assume I'm wrong there. Right for a second. If Ipswich don't get top 2, Leicester and Leeds are out of the division.
I think Southampton hopefully will.
Southampton or West Brom I think would win the playoffs. But one way or another, they're out of the division.
Then the cream's coming
Burnley
down.
And Sheffield United coming down. Yeah. Neither of them scare me anywhere near as much as what
I'm saying.
Of Leicester and
so
Leeds,
it could be a good opportunity to have a challenge next year.
That might change if say someone like a Forest come down or a Brentford maybe, but we should be scared of Brentford.
No, I get you, Mike. I know I'm with you there with the Brentford thing, am I, man?
Yeah, it shouldn't be at that point, right? But if you're going to get to the point, if say it's Luton, Burnley, Sheffield United coming down, we should be able to compete amongst them. And then if you look at the other players, right? People say Hull have gone for it, right? But a lot of the players they've got are lone players.
Carvalho, he's got to come back, yeah.
Sorry, if Hull don't get promoted, they're not going to be there next year.
That's what I'm saying.
Apparently,
exactly.
Hull are losing 400 grand a week. Jaden Philogene, one of their assets, if say they have to sell assets, they're going to have to use that to balance the books.
They're going to get slapped next season there, Hull win the financial thing because, you see, the hemorrhaging all the time with the financial. So FFP are going to be on them next season. They could get a point deduction.
I'm starting to get sick of is when people go, FFP is an excuse not to spend money. I'm sorry, that's a load of bollocks. FFP is actually a thing. If you want to look at it this way, them dirty twats up the road, sorry. But they're the richest club in the world, right? But they barely did anything in January. Why? Because
of financial fair play, right? But the joy you're saying, the whole world's against them because they're not to spend money. I said, that's the way it is now.
They can go down to paying the Papa John's.
That's the way it is now, Newcastle. You can't just spend money like you could before.
But it's all right. They beat Sunderland 3-0, so they had them in season. Look, seriously, right. But the point is, FFP, we shouldn't be anywhere near danger of it. My point is, next season is a genuinely good opportunity there. If they want it, to go for it with the money you should be bringing in from player sales, there better be money to spend on transfers. And if they're not, if there isn't, then anyone who has a good Speakman, well within their right to do so, and I'll be among it. Anyone, KLD, to be honest, I wouldn't complain if he sold up because.
But if KLD goes, then Speakman probably goes well.
This is the thing. There's got to
be. Imagine, would you not? Or would Speakman stay with Harvey? But Speakman might come in and say, "Well, I like the job they're doing with the recruitment, and we'll just bring a little bit more money in and give them a little bit more money to spend."
I think at bare minimum, you need to keep Stuart Harvey.
Absolutely.
Because I think in general, and again, he's under the same restraints that Speakman is, I believe, with the financial side of things.
Yeah.
That was more interesting than the game, that. Right, long story short, the rest of this season, we just need... It sounds horrible, really, but you do need to plod along and make sure that you get enough points to make sure you comfortably avoid relegation.
That would be absolute catastrophic for this club if we're going to get relegated.
But the argument is that every single wound that has happened at this club has been self-inflicted by the owners.
Yeah, that's true.
Speakman, by KLD,
that's true.
By whoever else, and by Sartori as
well.
So
you're watching people who see Michael's just with Speakman, he says he's criticising people.
I'm in Speakman's bed, so fine.
No, but he's fair. He's saying he's applauding criticism, but he's also saying where he went wrong. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean, Michael?
So this is where I think sometimes I wish people would go the other way and not just say every single thing Speakman's done's been negative, because it hasn't. Yeah. You've got to look at, yes, this season's not been great, but I don't think that should just erase everything that happened before then. I don't think that's particularly fair.
I think his recruitment in the League Ones effectively was a good in turn of us getting out of that league. Alex Neil was a big factor as well, but I think the players he had at his disposal, I think was
exactly. But at the end of the day, Speakman's definitely got faults. He's not perfect, and I've never pretended he is. But like I said, for the whole regime, it's a big summer ahead, though, because
massive summer.
This summer, will make or break them.
Oh, yeah.
For a lot of fans, it'll make or break them.
Michael, I've totally changed. I wouldn't mind if KLD was to leave in the summer and sell up.
We've had that opinion since probably Christmas, really,
and,
haven't we?
I'm getting sick. Like,
let's be honest, the Black Cats bar debacle should never have happened under his watch at all.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether he knew about it or not, it's terrible.
It is.
It shouldn't ever have happened. Like we've said, that could do with a bit of work. I mean, come on, that's one of the biggest stadiums in the country. How on earth have we not got pride in that?
I'm not speaking alone with people around us as well who are saying they're sick of coming to the games, and I'm fed up with coming. I'm not enjoying it anymore. I need something to give us a lift to our next season, like a new ownership.
Coming back?
A new ownership.
What would you have said to that when we sacked Tony Mowbray if you knew if someone said to you what was going to happen?
What was going to happen? I would have said just keep him until the end of the season, then replace him because.
So do you think we would have been worse off if we kept?
No, I think we would have been about mid-table, maybe a little bit better. But I think sacking him was the right thing, but replacing Michael Beale was not the right thing.
Sacking him wasn't the problem for me. It was who you replaced him with.
That's what I'm saying.
But look, so my point is, and by that, another thing they've got to get right is the head coach. They've got to make sure they get someone competent.
But do you not get somebody in now, Michael? There's people saying about that.
I think if we had lost today, they would have considered it.
Yeah.
I think because this is the thing. The point probably buys it more time. I still believe, right? I still think we're chasing Will Still.
You think?
I still think we're chasing Will Still, and I think me putting the three. I'll tell you who I'd want to try and wrap it up because I know we said we're going to be. We said we're going to be quick. I've kept Shaun here in the rain, but right, the three targets and whether they'd come or not. Whether they come or not is a different factor, but even with the regime, Sunderland should still be an attractive draw.
Yeah.
Steve Cooper's one of them, but that's the least likely, I think, because would he want? It's not even that you want to be a manager; it's that if he can't bring his own men in,
he's not going to. Well, exactly.
So let's take Steve Cooper out of it. Will still be another one. Now that's the one I know the least about. The unsung shout I would have is Danny Rowe from Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday got battered 6-0 today.
You've said this a couple of times.
Sheffield Wednesday got battered 6-0 today. I do understand that. But if you look at and I looked this up, right, before they beat Rotherham back at the back end of October, that was their first win.
Yeah.
Before then, they were 11 points adrift.
Now,
despite losing 6-0 today, they are 1 point off Championship safety with a League One squad.
Yeah.
Now, I don't care what anyone says about our squad. It's better than Sheffield Wednesday's. It should be. Come on. If this squad's not better than Sheffield Wednesday, then we really are screwed. But anyway, and I like Sheffield Wednesday as a club, by the way. I really do hope they stay up, actually. But the point is, that's the unsung shout for me. I could see it happening if Sheffield Wednesday go down because the fact he's giving them a shot at staying up is a.
Would you take Alex Neil back?
Well, that's like asking.
Paul Wilson saying no.
Right, but put it this way.
CJ saying.
Basically, that's basically like asking, would you go back with your ex?
Some people go back with the exes there, CJ.
If you're comparing him to like Michael Beale, that's like asking, do you want to drink piss or eat shit? Neither one's less unpleasant than the other. Right. If you're asking me, Alex Neil, for the rest of the season, I'm not going to lie, the fume would be quite funny. The problem, however, is with Alex Neil came back, and rightly so, by the way. I don't care what that bald bastard says on air.
But have you watched that? Because Dave watched it as well.
Have the EFL debate thing?
I want to watch that when I get in. Dave reckons it's really good. And
see, the bit I've listened to about Sunderland, basically he said he left because he felt unwanted.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. Now, the question I'd ask to that bald dickhead is, what about the players? Do you think the players felt wanted after you walked out on them, you bastard?
On the day of the game,
My point, right? Alex Neil for the rest of the season would be quite funny, but I'm not kidding myself here. I'm not taking anything he says as gospel.
Yeah, so you think he could be lying?
He is the one who had a dig at Broadhead in the press for not coming back, then fucked off himself. And he was the same person who said, I've never managed a squad with such togetherness. And then he walks out on that same group of players. I don't take anything that... I was going to say a C word there. But anything he says is gospel. But if you're asking me, the problem is, take my feelings out of it for a minute. If Alex Neil came back, it'd be a Beale situation. Because the minute things don't go right, he's on the back foot straight away from supporters.
Yeah, you've got to get someone.
And I think justifiably, it's fine if I know Dave Lawrence, who we speak to a few times, he'd probably disagree with that because he probably liked Alex Neil more. And look, I liked him, but at the end of the day, what he did stank. And he can say whatever he wants. I'm not changing my opinion on him.
Right. Anyway, that's enough on the aftermath. Me, Michael. I went on, but it was a good one, and
2 more points to 50 points, and we're fine.
I think a win and a draw will be okay. I think we'll get a win and a draw. Maybe another couple of wins.
God, you'd like
Tuesday times. Go and subscribe to Michael Bowers. Tuesday time.